take this opportunity to thank our baseball booster parents for their ongoing support. Through this very difficult time, they have been absolutely gracious in setting up various functions to ensure that the support is provided. I had an opportunity to hire Casey approximately 10 years ago. I was the hire. And what I want to share with you is the thing that struck me most about him and continue to strike me is his desire to champion students. He was student-centered. He championed students. He championed the families that he worked with. As an education specialist, he was always on the move, looking at grades, looking at transcripts, seeing how he could best collaborate with our gen ed staff, and seeing how he could best provide opportunities for carried over to the baseball field and carried over to the football field. It's important that we celebrate Casey by moving on and carrying on his legacy. For those of us that are teachers and in education, carrying on his legacy of championing all students, of partnering with all parents, and doing everything that we could and that we can to make sure those experiences are accessed. As a coach, and for you athletes, I know that he championed you not only at game time, but also with every single drill. He always wanted you to compete to your fullest potential with every single drill. Because he knew that if you made those steps every single time, ultimately you would be successful. He is most certainly going to be missed, but his legacy will continue. I will make sure that. At this time, I'd like to introduce you to one of our parents who had the opportunity to have his son play for Casey, both in baseball and in football. He also happens to be a pastor. I have had the opportunity to work in various scenarios with Kyle Zimmerman, and I trust him in this very, very important time to be able to guide us as we celebrate and we move forward. So Kyle, if you'll please join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kalunga. Thank you, Irvine High School staff, coaches, teachers, and thank you to the family for trusting me with this moment. As Dr. Kalunga mentioned, I'm a father, first and foremost, in my family. I have 4 kids. 2 of them, my boys, as she mentioned, play both baseball and football for Coach Dumont. And when we first heard about Casey's passing a couple weeks ago, I talked to my older son, Cade, who'd actually already graduated. And he was just reflecting on his last conversation with Coach Dumont, which actually took place right over here on this field. And it was after one of the passing league games of the summer that he'd come to watch this year's football team, and Coach Dumont kind of rolled up the way he does with that little smile. Hey Zim, how you doing? Cade said he had a chance just to tell him where he's going, and Coach Dumont did exactly what Dr. Kalunga described. He championed Cade. He took one last opportunity to breathe life into him before he went off to college. He just said, Cade, I've watched you develop for the past 4 years. I got to coach you, and I coached you hard, and I believe that you're going to do great things. And I'm going to be cheering you on from 5 states away, but you go and make a difference and let them know what Irvine High School football is all about. And Kate said, Coach Dumont was always an honesty and effort into his players. And so my family, particularly my two boys, have been recipients of that love and that care and that coaching. And so we are grateful for Coach Dumont. And that's why all of us are here. We're all here because Casey, Coach Dumont, to me, impacted all of us in a deep way. He spoke into all of our lives. He left an imprint somewhere on our life, academically or athletically, but certainly relationally. We're different because of him, and the world is different without him. And that's why it's critical for us to gather, to remember, to celebrate, to honor, and most importantly, choose to come together as we make our way forward in a world that's forever different. Because for many of us, he was family. For lots of us, he was our friend, a co-worker, a teacher, a counselor, a coach. To me, he was always Coach Dumont. But as Dr. Kalunga mentioned, I'm not just here as a father, I'm also here as a pastor. I've been a pastor for over 25 years of my life, and so I've personally experienced, not just in my own family, loss and grief and tragedy, but I've been able to walk with many different groups of people and families through life's most severe moments. And that's why we gather tonight. Dr. Kalunga called me last week, and it was a great privilege. So thank you for trusting me. And so I get to be sort of a spiritual guide that helps us navigate this moment in time. Because all of us tonight, we're unified by a common enemy, which is death, and we're unified by a common emotion, which is grief. And this is a season of grieving. And one of the things I'm sure that you've already seen and are experiencing is all of us grieve differently. Things are going to hit us at different times and in different ways. Even as I've been having conversations over the last week, as I'm sure many of you had, about Coach Dumont, you'll find yourself just laughing about some of the stories, some of the phrases he used to use, some of the moments that you shared. And then literally seconds later, you would break down in tears, just overwhelmed with the sadness and the grief and the loss and the pain. And tonight, that's what all of us are going to experience as well. Sometimes we'll experience laughter. Sometimes we'll experience tears. Sometimes there's nothing to say. And that's okay. So I want to make sure we all give one another permission to grieve in different ways and at different speeds and at different times. To laugh or to be silent. And we'll find our way forward together tonight in two ways. The first one is we're going to remember. We're going to take some time to look back at Coach Dumont and how he marked our lives. And we're going to share some stories. The idea of remembering is marking a moment. And the best way to mark a moment is pictures and stories, which is why that's all set up over there with pictures. You get to see, you get to remember. It stirs emotion and memory. And tonight, we're going to get a chance to remember him through stories. You're going to hear some family members and some friends and coworkers and coaches share about his life. You'll get a Coach Dumont that marked you. So we're going to remember who he was, but we're also going to reflect on this moment. Death is life's most difficult transition. It stirs all kinds of deep questions. Not just about Coach Dumont, but for each one of us, for the family, and for the future. And so we'll take just a little time to reflect on those questions that are good questions, meaningful questions, powerful questions. And we'll take some time to get some perspective on that as well. But the first thing we want to do is take some time to remember. We want to celebrate. We want to honor. We want to look back at Casey Dumont and how he marked our lives. And so I'm going to invite the family members, the friends, the former players that want to speak about him to come up one at a time and just share their story about Coach Dumont.
Good afternoon. As most of you don't know me, my name is Vigil, and like many of you, I mourn the loss of my uncle and beloved teacher, T.C. Dumont. Not only was he a teacher in school, but out of school as well. My uncle taught me valuable lessons about respect of our planet and its people. It would be an understatement to say that he didn't dig his toes into the earth and just feel the ground below him. He understood the value of life and the blessings that came with it. After his unexpected and tragic death, I soon realized the view my uncle, students, and friends. I'm going to miss my uncle, and that's no secret. In moments of laughter, joy, and love, I will continue to remember the life I shared with him. On the behalf of my family, I would like to thank his students for the lives they shared with him and the memories he now brings with him into eternity. And I know that with any phone call or any kind of messaging, I don't know how he contacted his students, he would always finish it off with a proud and loud Dumont. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bella. I'm 63. I feel bad for the students that won't have my uncle as a teacher or coach. He really wanted to build the whole person and not just the mind of students. He cared about making everyone better people. He helped me with my math numerous times. He loved everyone and cared for everyone. I miss him talking about his people. I imagine that he's looking down on us right now. So being a man, he worried a lot. He wanted no one to worry. Actually, I would like to say, everyone don't cry because it's over, but to smile because the experience of having him in our life happened. He truly loved us and the school and the school family.
Wow, Casey would be absolutely beside himself to see all these wonderful people up here. And I'd like to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for showing up this evening. I'd like to thank Monica and Gabe and the number of people that put this special evening together. It's been wonderful. I know it's going to be wonderful at the end. I'd like to go ahead and first of all, I'd like to thank the Irvine family. Casey enjoyed the students, enjoyed the family, enjoyed the competition. But I want to thank you personally from my wife and I for the wonderful comments on social media. I mean, the wonderful things you had to say about them. We went through a lot of tissues while we were reading all those. I'll tell you what, it was very important to us. I'd like to thank my mother, bless her heart, for always making me bring a handkerchief, because she always says sometimes you never know when you're going to need it, and I got a feeling that could be necessary for this evening, so thanks, Mom. I'd also like to thank our High Desert family. You know, Casey was raised in Apple Valley and went to Sultana High School. I have to brag a little bit now. He was the very first valedictorian at Sultana High School, and he also had a stellar athletic career. But I'd like to thank our High Desert family for showing up, fighting through that Orange County traffic for 2.5, 3 hours. It's a long way from here. We've got football coaches here, we've got baseball coaches here, we've got family, friends. I got special thanks for of a good friend of his that he grew up with together. Came all the way in with his folks from Virginia. It's quite a journey. They just jumped in a plane and said, "We're going to go see the family." Casey had many fine qualities. He was kind. He was a gentle soul. He was a fierce competitor on the field, and I know as a coach, some of the guys up here have probably been burned by him a few times, but he was a wonderful guy. He loved the field. He also loved his school, and he loved the department he was in, and he loved his family. And I'll tell you what he loved more than anything in the world was his daughter Kira. She showed some athletic promise, and I'll tell you what, he would have some things on his mind that he was going to do with her down the line. And I'll tell you what, it was remarkable the things he had planned for her. So, but she's going to get through that because she's a Dumont, and she's going to be fine with that. You know what? He loved the special ed department. He just loved the way it was structured. He loved the fact that he could spend one-on-one time with so many students. He could touch their lives, and he could go ahead with them. It was wonderful. He used to tell me, he goes, "You know, Dad," he goes, "because I can't save everybody, but I'm telling you what, I'm doing my damnedest to try to save as many as I can." And that's the way he wanted to touch people's lives. The athletic field was his specialty. He loved being on that field. The freshman football team, Pops, they got some good kids out here. They want to learn, they want to play, they want to fight, they want to play hard. He goes, "It's going to be fun coaching them this year." But his love was baseball, and he loved Gabe. Where's Gabe at? Gabe's around here somewhere. There he is, right there. Anyway, he loved what they did in the big. I used to watch what they did, and he'd call me, and we would talk for hours. Hell, we could talk for a half hour how to make a curveball, how to throw a changeup, or stuff like that. He just loves the athletic field. And I know one thing right now, that he feels the love. And I want to thank you people. And I want to thank Pastor Kyle for his wonderful speech.
Hello. Trying to get through this. Thank you all for being here. It's really cool to see such a great turnout. All the things that are on social media and all the people that have commented and just sent their love. Just thank you guys so much. It really means a lot to everybody here. When I think of Casey Dumont, I think of somebody that was just there, that was always present. If you were at Irvine, you saw him. Walking through campus, probably went into your classroom, probably uninvited, probably kicked down the door. Where's our baseball guys? He definitely went to a class, dropped off a baseball and said, "All right, you got the ball today, make sure you're ready to go." And teachers would be like, "What are you doing? This is not the time." But hey, that's what it was about. We came in and started coaching around the same time, around 2010. And a few years later, I joined the special ed program. He took me under his wing. There's no doubt we sat about 3 feet away from each other, and I had no clue what I was doing. So he was that guy that kind of just showed me everything, and I'll forever be grateful for the guidance that he had. Because everyone's going to say when they're up here, he's one of those guys that did everything he could for his people, as he would say. So, fast forward a few years later, we're pretty much inseparable in the classroom together, football field, baseball field, whatever it might be. My wife will attest to this, that, we'd go from being in the classroom and then going out to the baseball field, and then we'd go home, and I'd be home for about 30 minutes, my phone would ring. She'd be like, "What does Dumont want now?" He's like, "Get it all day." I'm like, "I know, we're just looking out for our people." So I just want to share a story because, it kind of just shows what the the kind of person that Dumont was. 7:30 at night in January, it's probably raining, it's cold, it's miserable. Nobody wants for more than 5 seconds. Like, there's just no way. He'd walk and he'd be gone and you'd miss him for a couple innings, but that's just what he did. So he's sitting there and he's practicing his golf swing, and mind you, we're not away from everybody, right? We're right in like the walkway, and people are walking by. So he's practicing his golf swing a couple times. Then he decides, you know what? I'm gonna take a full swing. He takes a full swing. A guy's walking by and he clips him right in the ear. Not bad, just got a little piece of his ear. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh boy, yeah, this is gonna go. And the guy, I mean, understandably, is a little upset. And so Casey, does his, I'm really sorry, I didn't mean to do that. But the guy won't let it go. And he's like, all right, I'm really sorry, like, I didn't mean to do it. And the guy just, again, keeps pressing and he goes, again. And Dumont back in, all right, I apologize a couple times. Go to your soccer field and get out of here. We're going to move forward. If you knew Casey, you knew that orneriness that he had to him. And that's kind of the way he went about his life. But the reason I tell that story is just because that's the epitome of Casey, right? He went from being a teacher on campus, probably got here like at 6 in the morning, went to every single class and did all those things, and he went out to practice for another couple hours, right? And then he went to the baseball field for another couple hours, only in the hopes of doing everything that he could for his people, as he would say. There's no doubt that we're going to miss him, but as someone said before, if we can just carry on a piece of what he tried to bring every single day, I think that we'll all be in a better place in this world. So thank you all for being here.
I'm Coach Richie. I'm the football coach here at Irvine. I was lucky enough to know Casey through football. He also coached my boys in baseball. So I've known him for about the last 10 years. And when they asked me to speak, I was kind of hoping for less of a memorial and more of a celebration of his life. Because Casey was so full of life. Just thinking about him, I picture him rushing into the office, ties slightly off to one side, papers flying everywhere, disheveled, jumping from his dress clothes into coaching clothes, back out the door, then rushing back in after practice, and then saying, I gotta get to my daughter, and then rushing back out again. He was always running around. He had a phone constantly stuck in his ear. I was always yelling at him because he kicked the Wi-Fi plug out all the time, and none of our printers would work. I'd get back at him by sneaking into his desk and stealing his little stash of candy that Casey always had, with about 6 or 7 cans of baked or black beans for some reason. Gabe was taking him out last week, and we're like, why did he have so many cans of beans? He was just always so full of life. And that's kind of what I choose to remember. I don't want to be sad that he's gone as much as I want to be happy that he lived and that I was part of that. And that'll always stick with me. All the times that I spent with him, all the little quirky things that he would do and say. He'd always give me that, "Coach, Coach." That was always his response to everything, and he'd like bring everything back down and put it in perspective. Always so laid back. He's definitely going to be missed. He was a great guy, a father, a friend, a colleague, coach. He's touched so many of our hearts, as is evident by everyone being here today. He's a teammate, and we're always teammates for life.
My name is Kayla, and you miss my dad. About having please golf and baseball. We're gonna miss him. Thank you for all the kindness here. For this ceremony today.
Hello, everyone. My name is Steve Suzlak. I'm a teacher here, and came to meet Casey when he came here 10 years ago. I was coaching baseball, and when Chris said, "Hey, I got a buddy coming here. We're gonna hopefully hire him. He's a baseball coach." I'm like, "Great! I mean, you always need help." I was kind of doing it on my own, and never really had anybody on campus, so it was like very exciting. Casey was a guy's guy. And those of you who are coaches, you know who that guy is. It's not always easy running a program or doing those things, and very few people understand that stress, but Casey did because he had done that himself. And he would always be there to support you. And I know anybody who coached with him, you knew that he had your back. He was there to give you that love. Always there for you, and like Gabe said, literally you're home 30 minutes, and I think my wife would say the same thing. "Oh, Casey's calling." And then I'm walking outside. I'm trying not to be too loud because my daughter was, new to the world at the time too, and quiet, talking about this, and he just always gets you fired up. So. And we were talking the other day, and my wife remembered a little story about, we had him over for dinner, and he came after practice one day, and it was the first time, Michaela had seen him kind of out and about at the field and whatnot, and we had him over for dinner, and just the way she lit up around him, and that lets you know what type of a guy he was, and it's like she had this little crush on him, and it was super cute, and it was neat to see, and he liked that too, and I'm sure that's the same feeling that his daughter has for him also, because it's just the kind of guy that he was. As Monica said, I just kind of wrote down here, he was always that guy. He was such an advocate for people, and helping them be the best version of themselves. Anytime, you'd be out there and you're just looking around and you're kind of taking the temperature of everybody that's there, and you're like, "Casey, you need to go talk to so-and-so." I'm on it, I'll go. "Uh-oh, so this guy needs some love today. I'm on it, I got it." And he'd go over there and probably tell a dirty joke or something else, get him smiling, but he'd come back, "Oh, he's good, he's fine. Didn't put enough cheese on his burger at lunch," or whatever it was. He would fix all the problems in the world out there. But he was always pushing for guys, and if ever there was that, you'd be talking about things, and and listening to his niece and nephew kind of talk about his different mannerisms and his people and everything else. I always remember the facial expressions when you'd bring up an idea. "Hey, what do you think about this?"
And if you've been on the other end of that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you had a great idea, then you get one of these. The upward-facing hand, or they give you that little, and you're like, yeah, I nailed that one. All right, good. So, you know, those are the things, and again, these conversations over these past 10 years, Casey and I, we go back baseball conventions, or we go to some football games in Chicago. He was always enamored by my dad's freezer, the simple things in life. But those conversations that you have with people, and just to understand how much he loved his family. I feel like I know each and every one of you at some point in time, because he would talk about you in such glowing terms. So if any of you have any doubt in your mind as to where you stood with Casey, don't. Because he made sure, he spoke of everybody like you were number one. So that love for his family and the people around him was just overwhelming. When you are traveling, the wit and wisdom of Casey Dumont comes out. Sometimes you're like over there going, okay, that haven't thought about it that way, but all right. In all of our travels, you know, you hear about you know, Casey's love of the binary code, his love of Costco fashion. He and I, many of you may not even know this, but Casey and I always had an extra shirt hanging in the locker room, because there were times, since I too am a fan of the Costco clothing rack, we'd show up and we'd have the same shirt on, so we were like, okay, that's not going to happen again. And I guarantee there's a picture over there. I saw him with Kira. It's this brown and orange little checker. That's the one we had. You know, that was one of them. But I would take pictures, because those of you who are fans of Costco, you're there all the time. You know when the new stuff comes in, and I would always take a picture and go, oh, the new Casey Dumont collection is good. Look at it, you know, well done. And he's starting laughing. But one of the times we were traveling, and just, you know, when Casey would get to laughing and going, and it was remarkable. And one of the times we were in Chicago, and I said, I got to take you to the Wiener Circle. And if any of you have ever been to the Wiener Circle, it's a hot dog place on Clark, where the employees have this knack of ripping you apart. If you've never heard of the place, YouTube it, have fun with it. Don't watch it in front of children, but it's a lot of fun. And I don't know if I've ever seen Casey laugh so hard, because they just ripped him up one side and down the other, and he loved every second of it. And so it's just, those were the smiles and the laughs that we would sort of kind of carry and talk about. One of the things that you hear everybody talk about, you know, his love, he's everywhere. Like Gabe, you can't keep him still. That was one of the funniest things. that I always try to, if we could, find a place for Casey to be able to roam, you know, because you couldn't just pin him down. I think about that energy that he had. And if you were lacking some, he had plenty in store. And so, anytime we were driving anywhere, it didn't matter if it was 100 degrees in Vegas during a spring break tournament, and I've got the air cranking, he's got the window down, like he's got to get out or something, like he's got to have an escape route somewhere. Or we're driving around Chicago, it's 20 degrees on the way to South Bend, and he's got the window down. All right. But when I heard of Casey's passing, it reminded me of a conversation we had recently. A couple of musicians had passed away, and we were just kind of talking about, like, where does that go? Where does that talent go? Where does that energy go? And we just got kind of very spiritual about things. And Casey, probably more so than years past. These last few years, I felt like he was becoming more and more spiritual. And we were talking about that energy, and where does it go? And it's got to go somewhere. So it's kind of out there. It's up there for everybody. And my big takeaway with Casey's passing is there's a lot of energy out there that each and every one of us we can grab a little piece of it. And if you can take that energy and do some good with it, I think you would do Casey, his family, and his memory a great honor. And just helping somebody out, just that leg up, that pat on the fanny, whatever you want to call it, pat on the back, however you want to do it. That's what Casey brought each and every day to the people around him. And those are the things that I'm going to miss. So if we can all do a little bit, everybody here, we might be able to equal one Casey Dumont. Thank you very much.
Chris Klamberg, athletic director, ex-coach, good friend of Casey. Casey and I have been friends for many years. During that time, I've become a better person. Early in our friendship, most of our conversations were centered around athletics and our love for coaching. In the sports world, it is often mentioned that you must have pure athleticism to be successful and win games. He and I would sit around for hours and talk about this topic. I always admired him for his belief that you could achieve greatness if you could just convince each of your athletes to compete to their highest level, even if you were not the most talented. As our years went on in our friendship, Casey was hired here at Irvine High School, and this was a blessing for our students and our staff. He was excited for this opportunity, and Irvine quickly became a home for him. He was willing to step in and help wherever he could, and because of this, we all benefited. His support for the students was again something I admired because it all focused on our earlier conversations about convincing the students to work to their highest potential so they could achieve greatness. He was the student's biggest advocate, whether it was students in his classroom or on the field. He recognized the definition of greatness was different for each individual and worked tirelessly to make sure that each of these individuals was achieving their own version of greatness. As we grew older together, our focus and conversations turned towards parenthood. These were some of our best conversations because I was able to witness the joy that his daughter brought to his life. Casey had always wanted to become a father, and his daughter was everything to him. When she was with him, you could see the impact it had on his life. I know he's laughing at me right now because I'm wearing pants. He used to make fun of me in all my comfy clothes and my swishy suits, as you would call them. I'm going to miss our daily fist bumps. Your impact on my family and my life and the school will be hard to replace. Rest in peace, my good friend.
Thanks, Barlow. One of the things that we've done as Ryan comes to share is the family wanted to make sure we save some time to hear from you guys. And so I want you guys to be, you can start to hear how important it is for us to share stories because it just rounds out our view of who he is. And so if that's you, I just want to invite you to make your way down, and you can just line up right over here on the track. And then we'll just let you guys share some stories for a bit. But Ryan.
Everybody, my name is Ryan Barlow, and I was fortunate enough to be Dumont's pitcher as he was my pitching coach for 4 years. I first met Coach Dumont during summer camp when I was just a skinny little freshman. I wasn't really good at pitching, didn't throw hard, and had no idea about the game. But Coach Dumont was able to teach me how to play the game better than any other coach could. Coach Dumont was arguably one of the best coaches I've ever had. Sophomore year came, and Coach Dumont was also my pitching coach after we had a little change in the coaching staff at the school. He knew that he had a big role to fill, big shoes to fill as the pitching coach, and so there was a lot of change and difficulty that came with it, but Coach Dumont was able to deliver and be the best pitching coach and make ourselves the best human beings that we could possibly be. Sophomore year, I was not doing good. My varsity year, I was not good at all, but he believed in me every single step of the way. He was always there for me. Good games, good starts, bad starts. He was there for me. He always had his belief in me, and he always knew that I would grow and be a great pitcher for the school. Fast forward to junior year. It was a really tough year for me, given because my mom passed away that fall, and that really took a turn for pretty much everything that year for me. And a couple of people who were there for me when I really needed them most was Coach Dumont and Coach Coda. They were there for me every second step of the way, and always was there for me whenever I needed them to, whether it was before school, after school, or during school. They'd pull me aside and always ask me how I'm doing. And Coach Dumont and Coach Coda came to my mom's funeral and watched me speak. And now here I am speaking at Coach Dumont's. He was a guy who really believed in me that year and knew I would do something really special. And junior year turned out to be one of the best performances I've ever put up in Irvine High history. Coach Dumont believed in me every step of the way. There were a lot of people who probably thought I was too skinny, and I still am, arguably. And God, did we have a lot of fun that year. And two games that really stood out to me is when we played Beckman High School. And this is a game where, you know, it's Beckman. We weren't supposed to win the game. We weren't even supposed to come close. I was the pitcher. And so, you know, that's a lot of weight on my shoulders with, you know, being the underdog against the undefeated Beckman High School. Going to the game, and Coach Dumont conducts me in the bullpen. He goes, "Are we ready?" I look at him with a little bit of fear. I'm like, "Yeah." He says, "Oh," he's like, and then I throw my bullpen right before the game. So I throw my first pitch of the bullpen. It's a really good fastball. And he goes, "Do you need me here?" And I'm like, "I'm good." And he's like, "All right, just tell me when you're ready." He goes and walks away. And he was casual for a Beckman High School, you know, Pacific Coast League champion game. We ended up beating Beckman in one of the best games I've ever played in, with the go-ahead 3-run home run by Bubba Falia. And I ended up becoming the winning pitcher of that game off a walk-off. And Dumont comes up to me after the game, and same with Coda, and they're like, "If it had to be anybody, it'd be you." And I'm like, if it had to be any coach, it'd be you. Both them two, Coach Coda and Coach Dumont, I mean, without Dumont, there's no Coda. Without Coda, there's no Dumont. Both of those guys were the cornerstone of my high school career. And that led us to a CIF playoff appearance, too. Led us to the quarterfinals, and Coach Dumont was as happy as a clam going into the game against Sonora High School out in La Habra. They've got some big 7-feet guys with beards, and Coach Dumont is as happy as can be. He looks at me again and goes, "Are you ready?" And I'm like, oh no, because I was pitching that game too. Unfortunately, we did lose, and a lot of us were crying at the end of the outcome. Not necessarily because our season was over, but more because we loved the team. And Coach Dumont and Coach Coda were the reasons why we loved the team so much. They were the reasons why people like to play baseball. A lot of kids that come to the program, you know, did some things outside of school that they weren't supposed to do. But Coach Coda and Coach Dumont especially, always there for them. Dumont coming up to kids and going, "Hey, are we good? Are we good?" to them. I always love to eavesdrop on the conversations because they're just so funny. But Coach Dumont made people love baseball. He made the program so much fun. It's just something that no other team and no other player can experience, and I'm so fortunate that I am able to experience it. After high school, I moved on to play baseball at IVC, and I told Coach Dumont, like, I'm going to keep in touch with you because like, you're my coach and everything. And after about, like every bullpen I would throw at IVC, I would always text him saying, like, hey man, absolutely did a great job today. Like, I had a game. I'd say, I did such a good job. I did what you told me back in when I was a sophomore, to not be scared. And he'd always reply with a fist bump emoji, and then something like attaboy Barlow or attababe or something. But one thing that no other player has experienced with Coach Dumont is being in a group chat with him. Me and Yanni Braca, for our senior year, decided to make a group chat with Coach Dumont because he was one of those guys where you can talk to him as if he's my best friend. And he was my best friend. My coach for 4 years and my best friend. And the things that we would say in the group chat and things that he would say would just fire me up, and he'd be fired up as well. And that's just something that no other coach can do and no other coach can provide. It's just because Coach Dumont made us feel so comfortable to be on the field, even if it didn't look like we were supposed to be. We could have failed the test, we could have had a horrible home life, or we could have even had a loved one pass away. He is always going to be there for you, no matter what. And that's just something that I've always appreciated from Coach Dumont. When I heard about his passing, I was out of town, so I didn't have a lot of time on my hands, but luckily I found out in the morning. My phone was blowing up from kids calling me. I just promptly ignored it because I thought they were just calling me to be stupid. But then later I heard the news from Coach Coda, and I was in bed at the time, and I laid in bed for about 2 hours looking at the ceiling, wishing that it was still a dream. But it didn't turn out to be a dream. Come downstairs and I see my dad. My dad looks at me, he knows that something's up. He goes, are you good? You good? I look at him and I go, I have bad news. And I just fell into his arms. I couldn't believe it. I still don't, to be honest. Coach Dumont was just one of those guys where you just couldn't picture him being out of your life. Just someone with such full of life and such full of energy that you couldn't process him gone like that, especially with this kind of death that he unfortunately had to suffer. Fortunately, we have Coach Coda here, who was there for us. He called me. He was like, hey man, I'm just checking up on you. And I'm like, I should be calling you to check up on you. But, the family that he's built here and the family that we've all built here in Irvine, he'd be so happy to see all you guys up here. And I know that he is really happy to see everyone up here. So, as everyone has said in the past before me, if you can just take one piece that Coach Dumont has taught you, and I already have, and I'm sure I will do even more, take it with you for the rest of your life, keep it with you, because I know Coach Dumont will do that too for you guys. Love you guys.
Before I begin, I hear that, through all the teachers that we've spoken to so far, how did this guy have so much time to call everybody? He was calling me at times, he was calling Coda, Sudlak, everyone. I was like, wow, this guy just has amazing time management skills. So, hello everyone, my name is Cameron Ragosa. I am an alumni coach here at Irvine High School. I played here for 4 years, and this would have been year 8 for me, alongside of him. And I was lucky to have that time with him, It started off like every football player does, on that freshman field over there for freshman football. And at the time, I guess I thought I was a basketball player or something, so I was late to the football practice, like you remember those days. I co-opted David Coda, Doan, Dumont. And keep in mind, I looked a lot different than I do right now. I was a lot scrawnier. I had long blonde hair, and I had never played football before ever in my life. So I walk up to the coaches, and I was like, hello. I've never played football before. I don't know what position to play. Help me out. Little Coda goes, are you fast? Maybe. Dumont goes, can you catch? I think so. So they get in the huddle, and they're like, who's going to take this guy? Who's going to take this guy? They break. Dumont drew the straw. He took me. And he goes, and he called me a name that stuck for me for 2 years. He goes, come on, Sunshine, we're going to go on routes. And for those of you who are not familiar, that would be Sunshine from Remember the Titans. So that's how it starts. You know, as coaches and as players, we know that we get close with the coaches that we first met and the ones that we were in our offensive windows with or defensive windows. And that was Dumont. You know, every time that I'd catch a ball or run over a receiver on a stock blocking drill, he'd be like, "You get him, Sunshine! You go get him!" You know, he always knew how to motivate everybody, not just myself, but everyone. And that is something that I try to take from him, you know. And as the season went on, you know, it went well. It ended, and he said that he expected a lot from me in the future. And I see him in the hallways because, as all of you guys know, he was everybody's favorite coach. Let's be honest here. He was the absolute best. And I see him in the hallway, and he'd hit me with what I like to call Dumontisms. I say, "Coach, how you doing?" And he'd hit me with a "Greetings, salutations." And I've stolen that, by the way. Any of the players that I've coached in these past years, every time I go to shake their hand, they say it, "Greetings and salutations." So I'm definitely going to carry that on for him. And usually he only coaches the freshmen. But when I was a sophomore, we didn't have enough players to field a JV team. So I got lucky, and I got 2 years of it. And we had a great frosh-off team that year. We were a hell of a team. We also had a lot of knuckleheads. And one of those knuckleheads, who may or may not be in the crowd right now, might have broken a code of conduct, and we were conditioning for it. And as a lineman, running is like your mortal enemy, which it was for me. And he points at me from the 40-yard line, walks all the way down, he looks at me, and at the time I was still called Sunshine. He goes, "Sunshine!" And he points to his teeth. Smile. He always knew how to keep it light. And that's important, you know, when a season is long or practices are hard or something's going on with your life. You can always go to Dumont, and he'll always hit you with a, "What's up, man? How you doing?" And that all, you know, whatever was happening, even though I wasn't very happy about running, I couldn't help but smile, because that's just the guy he was, you know? And, you know, as a junior and a senior, and I wasn't going to be coached by him anymore, I would still see him. I would visit him in directive studies. You know, like the coaches said, he just shows up to classes whenever he wants. And yeah, that was one of those moments where I see him, was like, "Coach, nice to see you." And he'd talk about Kira, and he'd talk about life in general and how baseball is going. And I couldn't be happier to have moments with him, because we are all so lucky to be with him. And, you know, as I got to be a senior, and my brother's coming in right after me, as a freshman, he goes, "We're going to get another one of you, aren't we?" I couldn't be more excited, man. And I was like, "Well, you're going to get a lot of me too, because I'm coming back to help coach this team." So, you know, with that being said, you know, when it was time to come back and coach, there was no doubt of where I wanted to go, and it was with Dumont, because I had such a great time. And Tyro, I know you're hurting a lot too right now, man, but the three of us, we've made a hell of a team for the past 3 years. You know, we clicked immediately. You know, you were the fire, Dumont was the goof, and I was the youth. And I couldn't be happier with the relationships that I've had and I've built with the three of us together, man. And, you know, another great story before I want to let you guys go, was the last conversation that we had together, which was a week prior to his passing, unfortunately. He called me, like he does everybody at this point. And he asked me, he's like, "How's school going? You have to be a senior at this point." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm a senior. I'm about to graduate and hopefully get my teacher credentials later on." And he's like, "You know what? You need to get some experience." I'm right ahead of you, man. I'm applying to schools right now. He's like, "Have any of them been Irvine?" I said, "Not yet." And he said, "Well, you know what? I'm going to give you a recommendation. You belong here. You belong with me. And I would love to work with you." And you know what? That's really something. You know, for someone to feel comfortable enough to recommend you for a job, I mean, there's no greater personal, professional honor that there is, you know? And in that conversation, you know, we talked about Kira, about the cat, meow meow. And, you know, like the gentleman before me said, you know, without Dumont, there is no me. Well, without Dumont, there's no Ragosa, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for how he touched me my freshman year. because, you know, I didn't really get to play a lot my freshman year, but the relationship I had with him, that's definitely, you know, what brought me back, and it made me work harder, and I built a relationship with a lot of great guys, and definitely with Dumont. So I just want to say thank you, Casey. You did a lot for me. You know, you've done a lot for my brother. I can't count how many meetings you've had with my mom about both of us. But, you know, that's what he did. That's what he did. He wanted to take care of us, you know, every one of us, not just me and my brother, but every player, or even his friends and the guys' colleagues, you know. And like I was telling the players, they made their own little vigil earlier this week. And I told them that if he saw a whole group of players out there doing something in his honor, first he'd ask where's the supervision, but then he would be proud. And you know what? I'm very proud to have the relationship that I had with him. And you know what? I'm going to carry his legacy just like every one of you guys are going to do. And with that being said, thank you very much, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. Most of y'all don't know me, but that's okay. My name is Jennifer Glass, and I'm a past student here at Irvine High. Oh boy, this really hits hard. I've known Coach Dumont throughout the 4 years here. He helped me so much with math, and I sucked in math. Good Lord. I always had C's in math, and I'm like, gee, I need help. But Coach Dumont was always there. When, a couple years ago, while I was here, because some of my friends were graduating, I walked into Director Studies, and I saw him. He always says, hey, Glass, how are you? You doing good? Family good? Brother? Everything. When I found out that Coach Dumont was gone, it was a couple of Sundays ago, because my brother is now at ASU. And my family came over to help us celebrate his birthday. When I found out that he was gone, my heart sank. I lost a mentor. I lost a guy who cared about you and me so much. It's hard to, oh boy, I'm shaking. I'm shaking. This is just like a hit. Coach Dumont will never forget the love that you gave for him. Even though if you're a past student or current, or even you're starting to come out here, he would say, you got this, every day. No matter how hard you try, you got this. When I was graduating from class of 2017, and last time I saw him, I gave him a big hug, and I said thank you for all your help to me in math, Director Studies, and seeing me here. You are a legend in our hearts, a mentor for everybody, including me, that is here. We love you, we miss you, you are gone, but you'll never be forgotten. Thank you.
For those of you who don't know me, I am Coach Tyro. I was already a student athlete at Irvine High School when Coach Dumont arrived. Like most high schoolers, I really didn't know what I was doing, where I was going in any sense of anything. And for the first couple years here, I kind of just was going through the motions and kind of just trying to get through school, football, baseball. And like I said, it was just kind of put my head down and get through. Coach Dumont came before my junior year, and
meeting him was life-changing. As everyone who's ever met him knows, he walks into a room, he walks wherever you're at, and there's an immediate uptick in energy, happiness. There's just a spark of joy. And the first time I met him, like I said, it changed my life, because it was just that first spark of energy that he would give to my life for 10 long years. I had the pleasure of being coaching him in baseball, and I came back to Irvine, coached baseball for a season, and I was being asked to help out with football as well. And I was like, all right, maybe I can help out with the freshmen. And I heard that Coach Dumont was on the freshman staff, and I was like, all right, well, if nothing else, I don't know if we're going to win a game or not, but I know it'll be a ton of fun because Coach Dumont's around. And he went from a coach and a mentor and a good friend to a friend that I really couldn't put into words. As a player, there was nothing like knowing you had a guy like that in your corner, because he made you want to be better. And it wasn't even anything he had to say. It wasn't anything he had to push you. He just showed up, brought that spark, gave you that smile, and it was like, all right, it'll be all right. No matter what is going on, it'll be all right. And he would bring a smile to your face. And as I got to coach alongside him, both football and baseball, I got to learn what it was like to be around that energy off the field and in the classroom, and see how he went about his day-to-day, and to see the care that he had for every single individual that he met on this campus, and I'm sure off this campus. It was an inspiration, and knowing what it was like to have a man like that in your corner and to watch him have that effect on literally thousands of people just because of the person he was and the energy he brought, it was nothing short of inspirational. And as so many have said, if I can live my life with 100th of the caring and the patience and the energy that Dumont brought to every single day, then I think I'll have led a pretty successful life.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Peter Simon. I was blessed to be a part of the freshman and sophomore football team back in 2014 and 15. I was lucky enough to have Coach Dumont as my coach. If any of you guys remember when I was playing, I was not one of the best players, and I struggled a lot, especially with football, and later on with school. And one of the best memories that I had with Coach Dumont was we had this one practice where I was just failing every drill. I wasn't getting anything. I wasn't picking up what everyone else was easily able to learn on the spot. And he took me to the side and he had this one-on-one, heart-to-heart conversation with me. And he asked me, how much do you want to be here? How much do you want to play with your peers? How much do you want to see yourself succeed? And that was one of the very first motivational, inspirational speeches that I had from all the coaches that I had in football. And that stuck with me still to this day. So when I heard about his passing, I felt obligated to come down here and speak on his behalf. He was an amazing person. Anytime that I was either emotionally struggling with something or educationally struggling, I could easily go to him. He was an open person. He wasn't closed off. He was very down to earth. And he left a mark on my life with just how much passion and how much effort he put into each and every person on the field. He never let go of anyone. He never gave up on anyone, no matter how much everyone else thought they were struggling, how much they themselves thought they were struggling. Each and every day that I got to practice with him, he put 110% effort into each and every one of his kids. And that's not something that you find in every person that you meet. And he's special for that alone. But not only that, I used to visit his, I forget what it's called, but the director's study. And I used to go there often. I had a lot of friends that were over there. And every time that I visited, the amount of care that he showed towards people that are either behind or struggling in any subject, subject-wise in school or coaching football or baseball, it's remarkable the amount of just care and attention to detail that he has for every little thing that he does. And I can't be more proud to call him my coach. And I appreciated every little thing that he did for me, because if it wasn't for him and all the other coaches and people that supported me with those little things in life, I would not be at the point where I am today. And I just want to take the time to say thank you, Coach, for all the small things you've done, never giving up on anyone, and caring and putting your heart and soul into everything that you do. Thank you.
So I wasn't really planning on speaking here tonight. Peter kind of gave me the inspiration. Hearing everybody else speak also kind of gave me the inspiration. So I first had my first experience with Casey Dumont my freshman year of football, like a lot of you guys. We just kind of went through the process, and it was the first day of pads, and we were doing simple walkthrough tactical drills, trying to get the technique in the form. And during that drill, I had somebody who weighed probably 230 pounds put their knee straight onto my wrist, and it broke. And that was my freshman year. I spent a lot of time on the sidelines with Casey. I got to know him pretty good through that experience. Spent a good amount of time up in the box filming. He yelled at me once for messing up the films and messing up that entire review session, and kind of laid into me for that one, but that's life. I continued with the football program through my sophomore year. That was a bit of an experience. I actually got to experience Casey putting us through those difficult drills, and Cameron said it and it kind of stuck with me. The smile, he always yelled out at us. And, I don't know, that resonated with me tonight. And, when I heard about Casey passing, I was out in the middle of the desert in Nevada, and I got the information. And yeah, I don't really know where I'm going with that one. Casey, on a personal level, my sophomore year of high school, I made some mistakes. I started going to the wrong crowd, doing things that I shouldn't have. And Casey had a conversation with me, and he said, "Cap, whatever you're doing, stay until high school. It's not worth messing up your life, whatever you're doing." And I took that with me, and towards the middle of my junior year, I realized that Irvine High School, unfortunately, wasn't the right place for me. And I felt like I needed to get out of Irvine High School and move on to different things. And not a lot of people shared that same opinion with me, but Casey was in my corner. He supported my decision all the way, and he helped me through that transition. Unfortunately, I never got the opportunity to speak with him after that. Since that transition, my life made a complete U-turn. My grades got a lot better. I stopped hanging out with the wrong crowd. I don't know where I would have ended up if I stayed on that path that I was on. And I owe that to Casey. Some of you guys might have seen this candle that I brought up earlier. This candle has been me through far too many of these vigils. This candle was there for Ryan Showman. This candle was there for Austin Pino. And unfortunately, it's here for Casey too. Yeah, it's been through a lot. Just remember to keep on smiling. Take that little piece of Casey with you. Thank you for having me at this night.
Hey everybody, I'm Roz Braca, older brother of Yanni. I think a lot of the younger people know Yanni. Coach Dumont, I got a chance to meet him in 2010. I believe I was a sophomore, and you know, just like any other high school out there, you just have a lot on your mind. You just have no idea what's going on out there. And it was the summertime, and we're playing a summer league game, and like most sports, you know, a lot of the other guys were going out and training for basketball or training for football and all that. And I got a chance to play football too, and I believe we had a morning practice, and I got a text from Coach Sudlak, and he said, "Hey, do you think you can pitch for us today?" I'm like, "Oh God, I'm so tired." All right, so I get out there. I don't remember where the game was, but I just remember Coach Dumont was the only coach there, and it's his first time out there. Irvine baseball, we were struggling for a long time, so him having us out there was just, I thought it was pretty funny and insane. And I pitched a few innings and probably got to the third or fourth, and I was struggling pretty bad. I was walking a bunch of guys, just like I probably did a few years later, my senior year. Coach Godo's over here laughing. Coach, and and I was struggling, and I just hear the timeout call from Coach Dumont. I'm like, okay. So I turn around, and I've never talked to Coach Dumont before. I think this was like possibly the first time talking to him. And the only thing I can think of is, thank goodness it's not Bobby Gomez walking out here to rip my butt. Have some conviction, compete. I'm like, oh gosh. So Coach Dumont walks out, looks me dead in the eye, and goes, "What do you have for dinner tonight?" I'm like, what? What are you talking about, man? And he goes, "Come on, what do you have for dinner tonight?" I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, in and out, I don't know. I'll just go somewhere after this. He goes, "Well, you hurry up. Come on, man, you're having in and out. Just get out of this inning, compete, smile a little bit, and let's go. Let's get out of here." And I mean, that was him. Like everyone said, he was always smiling. He was always having fun. So I enjoyed that a lot. But a few years later, I got a chance to go play ball at the next level, and I was 30,000 miles away. And we had a saying on the team that went something like, you know, be grounded, be where your feet are, right, and be present at all times. And Coach Coda mentioned this earlier, and it just reminded me of Coach Dumont. You know, being present, having the time of your life wherever you are. Don't think about anything else. Be where your feet are. And I just remember those high school practices, and we'd stay hours, and I'd just watch him hitting baseballs to whoever it was, you know, Tanner Moore, Nick, you know, Andrew Delhead, whoever was out there. He wasn't one of those coaches where you had to go ask him and be like, "Hey, you know, can you help me with this, or you can help me with that?" He would go out there and he'd want to stay out there with you. He'd stay out there all night. He loved the game, and he loved football, he loved baseball, he loved everybody. All right. So being present was exactly what he was all about, and I took that to heart. A few years later, you know, I'm a little older and a little bit more mature, and finally realized what that all meant, what that day on the mound felt like, what it was all about, and it was just about being present, having a time. So, Coach Dumont, thanks so much for teaching me that. You're going to be missed. I remember coming back, saying hi to you, talking to you, just getting a chance to see how you're doing, and you never really cared about yourself. You always cared about others, and everyone here cherishes you for that. So thank you so much, and thank you for letting me be up here and tell my story. Thank you.
We've got time for a few more. Come here, buddy. We've got time for plenty more, so I just want to invite you guys, if you want to share, you're still welcome to come down here and line up after you share. What's your name?
John Dumont.
Take your mask off.
Most of you might not know me. Most of you, like, all over there might not know me, but most of you there will probably know me. Easy Dumont. What? Wait, I forgot. Most of the time when I was sitting on the couch next to my dad, I'd hear him, like, watching TV, watching baseball, and, my uncle would, call him and say, Dumont! And then one day, I told my brother and sister, like, we should, like, do something, like, at the end of the call, and, say that, and then my dad, like, my kids want to say something to you, and then we said, Dumont! And then...
Like I said, we've got a little time, so I'm just going to wait. Some of you may be debating. Maybe your heart's pounding.
My name is Nina Rosa, and my husband Edward, and then my two boys, Cameron and Eddie Rosa. I just want to thank Mr. Dumont because with Cameron, he had an easy breezy 4 years at school. Edward, he's my emotional child, and coming into football, he wasn't there the freshman year, which was really tough for me because he is just an emotional child who's a big cuddly teddy bear. And we had meltdowns at Love You Ed. And Coach Dumont wasn't there for freshman year, but sophomore year he got to experience it. And he called me many times. And as a parent, you wish that everything would be easy for your child. And he had a really rough time. I remember I was in Texas and Eddie was at practice and something happened and Coach Dumont called me right away and he talked to me and I was like, Coach Dumont, what do I do with Eddie? Do I take him out of football? Does he just not belong to do this? And Coach Dumont said, Lena, you leave him in football. This is exactly what he needs. And so he's done great. And I thank Coach Dumont for not letting me take him out, and Eddie found a sense of belonging, and that's what Coach Dumont did for Eddie, and he's doing great, and now he's a senior, and he has matured, and it has to do with a lot of guidance from Coach Dumont, from Coach Coda. Everybody was there, but Coach Dumont was the best. mean, we are so grateful for the guidance that he provided for Cameron into his adulthood, with helping him find his way with the instructional aid job. And then thank you for him for not letting me quit on Eddie and keeping him in football, because that's exactly what he needed, and he's still in it. So thank you, Coach.
I would just like to second what my wife said. As a parent, as many of you know, you never like to see your kids struggling with anything. And having Coach Dumont give us a call or talk to my wife and my other son, Cameron, and say, hey, we had a rough one today, but we got through it, don't worry about it. There's nothing more comforting to know that when your kid's going through something like that, there's somebody here that can, you know, look after them and who's going to be in their corner regardless. And if I could just, you know, say one thing to all the teachers and that are in the crowd, or, you know, the family, is to take that, you know, from Coach Dumont. Be that person in the kids' corner, so that not only are the kids comfortable with you, but for us as parents, it was a blessing to have him as a part of our life for the last 8 years. Thanks, Coach.
Hello. Hello, everybody. My name is Sage. And when I came into high school, I was practically afraid of everything, especially coaches, because my family is very pressuring. So when I came into high school and signed up for the team, I remember there's this one practice during summer, and like my teammates were like, "Oh, it's Coach Dumont from football." And I looked over. I remember from that day, I was like, that man's scary. This is football, you know. And so I played third base that day, which I didn't play a lot of third base, and so I didn't know what I was doing. And I remember I looked at him and felt the most penetrating fear ever. But he was smiling, and so I was like, there's something wrong, you know. And so, you know, ever since then it's just been like, why is he smiling, you know? But no, so it's very hard. Yeah. To me, Coach Dumont was one of the most inspiring people I've ever met. Because through any stage of life, he's always coming out smiling, coming out strong. And, you know, he's somebody who I wanted to be like, in some sense, because I want to be able to come out smiling no matter the situation. You know, just the week before he passed away, I came over to the field to hit, and decided to walk next to the football field and saw them over their practices, you know, or running up that hill. just over and over. And I saw Coach, I was like, and I swear, I had the biggest smile on my face, because just seeing him reminds me of his smile, so it makes me smile. So I had the biggest smile on my face. I'm like, Dumont! And, you know, he calls me Z, because I guess my name's hard to pronounce, but he just calls me Z. And he says Z with the utmost love. And he's like, you're getting big. I'm like, no. It's just working. But, you know, before I left, I said my goodbyes, and I'm like, I'm gonna keep grinding for you, Coach. I'm gonna keep grinding. They told me to come back and visit sometime. And then that next week, you know, passed away. And I just want him to know that I will be coming to visit more often. Thank you.
My name's Bob. I had Dumont for 4 years in special studies. Somebody on Instagram wrote, if you were at Irvine, it was hard to not know Dumont. And I think that's especially true. Anytime you saw him, you know, he'd say hi to you, you know, whether it was in the hallway, you know, in the quad, in the locker room, at the games, and you know, while I was in high school and after high school, when I show up sometimes, you know, he'd always say hi to you. He'd always have a smile on his face. Yeah, in high school, if anybody knew me, I got more interested in living school and just playing games on my computer. I didn't have a smartphone back then. So, and Dumont really pushed me to get my work done instead. Got what I was gonna say. Yeah, I mean, you know, he always made sure to, you know, he always made sure to compliment me on my hack. Everybody knew me. I got 134 now. I think in high school I had 98. Yeah, high school, junior year I had 68. Went to Taiwan, came back. Junior year I had 91. Yeah, but yeah, he always made sure to compliment me on my clothing. You know, he always made sure to say hi and everything. I just remember him always being positive and and smiling. Yeah, thank you.
Hi. Some of you may not know me, some of you may. My name is Yaya Idris. I came here just like everyone else here to respect the death of Coach Dumont. Coach Dumont was someone that everyone loved. Coach Dumont was a person to never be forgotten, you know. When I'm going into junior year, before I transferred to Portola, I had great memories with Coach Dumont when I was freshman. When I started joining in the football team, when I started playing football, I didn't know what I was going to do. Just like everyone else who started playing football, I didn't know what to do. And when I first saw Coach Dumont, I didn't know who he was. I didn't know if he was going to be nice. I don't know if he was going to be rude. But when I first met him, everyone here, especially me, will definitely miss him. You know, every time there was an issue, good, bad, Coach Dumont always knew how to solve the problem. Coach Dumont always knew what to do. Coach Dumont knows when to be funny on the right time, when to not. I hope that after this memorial, I hope everyone will be happy with the memories of Coach Dumont. I hope everyone here will think of the happy memories, and I hope after this, I hope no one will be sad. I hope everyone will smile, will be happy. And Coach Dumont is looking down at us, happy. Life is always tough, and no matter how much negativity there is in this life, there's always going to be positivity. Thank you.
Hi, how's it going? I don't know how this works out, but I am your last speaker tonight. My name's Cody Hitchcock. I am a 2011 graduate. I moved to KC for this first year as a varsity coach here. I want to start by saying I had absolutely no intention of speaking tonight whatsoever. I came here to pay my respects, and that was it. However, after listening to everybody speak, I started to mull over the level of impact that somebody like Casey Dumont has on not just me, but I think everybody. I'm sitting next to my mom, and just looking up at the stands, and my mom and I are talking, and she just says to me, it's amazing how all of these people are just remembering stories that are often as simple as one conversation. That are just one conversation that I had when I was a freshman, or when I was an incoming freshman, or when I was a sophomore, junior, or senior, as a colleague, or a friend, or a father, or anything else. And I can't get past that idea of how profound the impact that somebody like Casey Dumont, his impact is just wide-scaping, and has the potential to shape who all of us are and who we're all continuing to become. My story with Casey is this. Played baseball here for 4 years. I was average. I was okay. He comes in and he wanted to help at every opportunity. He comes up and he wanted to help me in the outfield. He sets up the machine, and I kept doing it wrong, and he wanted to show me how to get it done. So he wheels the machine out, and he tied a knot, and it was the worst knot I'd ever seen. He looks at me, and he just jerry-rigged it, and he wanted to show me. He meets me in the outfield, and he just looks at me and he says, "Are you having fun out here?" And I was just, no. Not at all. Like, it's not fun to do something wrong over and over and over again. But there's something about Casey that is positive. He sheds light on difficult situations, and inspires a sense of confidence that I think is extraordinarily rare. mentorship is a hard thing, and very few of us have the ability to be mentors in any capacity. Education is starving for people like Casey Dumont, somebody who with just a simple conversation can inspire a stadium full of people to come back and just remember the happy times. Everything that Casey is able to do is everything that every educator hopes to be, I think. The way that Casey spoke with me when I was an 18-year-old here has inspired a lifetime for me in the way that I speak with my students. Now I'm a teacher, now I'm a coach, and I look back to my mentors and Casey, and I am beyond thankful at everything he taught me and just his way that he spoke, not just with me, but to my parents, to my teammates, to everybody else. I hope that in my career I continue to or try to inspire people the way that Casey inspired me. To Casey's parents, you guys should be just so proud of your son. He's leaving a legacy of just kindness, a legacy of positivity. His ability to inspire is greater than just about anybody else could imagine, right? He could have chosen a lot of careers, and I guarantee you Casey would have been good at a lot of things. I could see him working at a used car sales lot. And he would have been damn good. But that doesn't inspire the way that Casey is capable of, and that's just, you know, what more is there to say besides that? Akira, I've never met you. But your dad, you should just be so proud of your dad. It's going to be a long drive home, thinking about everything that Casey is, the man he is, the father he is. What I do know is that he has left me inspired, and what I believe to be a stadium full of people inspired too. So I'm just honored to have had the opportunity to learn from him. Thanks, guys.
I didn't think I was going to be the finale. That's kind of a lot of pressure. They say there's no crying in baseball, but I'm wearing this baseball jersey right now, and I've been crying for the last 2 hours. I just wanted to talk about a really fun story I had about Dumont and how much of an impact he had on me and everybody else on the baseball team. Because one of the things that was so obvious with how he lived his life is how much of a passion he had for baseball and everybody who played baseball under him and with him. I remember almost every practice I would go up to him and start talking about baseball, and it became a daily routine for me to go up to him and tell him a baseball fun fact. So it could be like what the Reds shortstop did in AAA 10 days ago, or it could be like some fun fact about the Dodgers, but each time I would say something, he would act like it was the most incredible, awe-inspiring fact he's ever heard. And that passion he had, and it made me feel so good. And I wasn't Bryce Harper on the field. I was as tall as Bryce Harper, but I definitely didn't play as well as him. But I felt like I was a valuable part of the team. And for everybody who was on the baseball team, they mattered, no matter what their role was. And it wouldn't be the same without them on the field. And for that reason, I'm so thankful for Coach Dumont and everything that he inspired with myself and all my teammates. And I know that, as we've said tonight, that his legacy is going to live on with everybody who's in the stadium right now and everybody who's going to take a fun story or an inspiring story that he told them and carry it on for the rest of their lives. Thank you.
we've all got stories. That's why we're here. And I want to encourage and invite you guys. You know, we're going to wrap this up in the next few minutes, but that doesn't mean you need to run away and leave and get in your car. There's going to be space. They're going to leave the lights on. You should be with one another and share stories, go and reflect on the pictures and have some refreshments. And that's why we're here, is to share our stories of Coach Dumont. And we listen to the stories. There's these common threads that get pulled through about a man who was kind, about a man who saw people for who they could be, not for who they were, about people that weren't going to be defined by a decision or a moment, but a lifetime. A man who served, who gave his whole life to other people all the time, who knew just what to say at just the right moment, who would change a conversation or the energy of a room with a smile. And there's something about all those things that we kind of rally around in these moments and we go, it's just not okay. It just doesn't seem right. And there's something in all of us that knows that death isn't okay. And I just want to affirm that and say you're right. It's not. And it was never part of the plan. It was never part of the design. That's why innately every single one of us know that nights like this, under the lights, are meant for football. They're not meant for vigils. They're not meant for memorials. They're not meant to look back and celebrate someone who's gone. And the Bible would tell us that eternity is put inside of every single one of us. There's something innately in every single one of us that we know that there's more to life than what we're experiencing right here in the physical. There's a soul that gets wrapped in humanity and in flesh. And so our life then becomes this journey, this quest to try and solve eternity, to try and figure out what happens. And that's why moments like this are so challenging. That's why I said earlier, death isn't the end, it's actually life's most difficult transition. Because most transitions in life, we can look and we get a sense of what's coming next. Many of you stood on this field and graduated high school. Many of you will stand on this field and graduate high school, and you get a sense of what's going to be next after that. Maybe it's more school and education. Maybe it's a trade school. Maybe it's a job you have waiting for you. I don't know. But most transitions in life, whether it's graduations or promotions or marriages or even the anticipation of having a baby, we have a sense of what's on the other side. Until we get to moments like this. And then all of us kind of stop and we pause. It's because eternity has been put in every single one of us. And one of the things I would say is it was the pleasure of me and my wife and my family to have a few of those spiritual conversations that Coach was referring to with Coach Dumont. We got to talk a little bit about what do you think? What do you believe? What does that look like? And I think that's part of what drove his smile, stirred his curiosity, that wondering, and even that longing, knowing that something was bigger and more than what he was experiencing in his life. Because you see, death was never part of the plan. It was never part of God's design for us. But we like to solve problems as human beings. We like to try and do life on our own. And so it creates pain, and sadness, and brokenness. We see it all around us. But part of what you see in Casey is the beauty of God's design and love. That kindness and compassion and the joy and the selflessness and the love. That's what God built into him to share with us. It's the heart of God reflected in people. And that's what we celebrate. So tonight I just want to read a passage of scripture that's really, it's been read for thousands of years in some of life's most defining and severe moments. It's probably familiar to many of you. And it just says this, it says, "The Lord's my shepherd, and I don't lack anything. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. And even though I walk through dark valleys, I won't fear, for you're with me. Your rod, your staff, you comfort me. You prepare a table before me, and you anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Your goodness and your love will follow me all the days of my life, and I'll dwell in your house forever." And I was thinking about that because so many of these qualities we've been celebrating about Casey are reflected in this passage. About protection and about guidance and about love and about comfort and even about rest. Coach Dumont had this ability to slow things down. I saw him do it for pitchers. I saw him do it for hitters. I saw him do it when things would get tense and anxious. He had the ability to just slow everybody down. And I feel like it's just such a great picture of this passage of scripture that people have held on to for literally centuries and millennia in life's most severe moments. You see, eternity is put in every single one of us. Eternity is in all of you, and it's in me. And so it's moments like these that stir those questions up. What's next? What does this mean? Those are meaningful, important questions. I just want to invite you, as part of your process of grief, don't walk away from those. Sit with those. Talk about those. Because that's what Coach Dumont would do. He wasn't one to walk away from the tough questions. He was one that would put them on the table and walk towards them. So do that together. Do that in community. Do that with me if you want. But let's continue to link arms around the best of who Coach Dumont was and reflect on those questions together so that we might actually become who we were created and designed to be in the first place. So as we close, I'm going to pray. I invite you, wherever you are, just to close your eyes, bow your heads. If you want to just, in your tradition of faith, if you just want to have a moment of silence, that's fantastic. But wherever you're at, just close your eyes. And I invite you to close your eyes because I don't want you to be distracted by anything. I want you just to maybe pause and reflect. Take a moment of silence. So God, tonight we celebrate and honor the life of your son, Casey Dumont. We celebrate the deep, beautiful character qualities that you're the one who placed within him. The smile that changed our lives, the joy that changed rooms, the wisdom that he could dispense in the most practical ways. God, the way that he would serve and love out of just a foundation of kindness. So God, we honor that, we remember that, and we pray that you would help those things to unfold in our lives in powerful and profound ways. That we might carry those things with and for one another and become more of who we were designed to be because we knew Casey and because we were here tonight. And so we pray this in your name. Amen. As I mentioned, we're going to take time. Lights to stay on. You're welcome to sit here and chat. You can also go over there. There's pictures. We have support for you. Like I said, if you're wrestling with grief or questions or you don't know how to move forward through this, we want to be with you and for you in that. So there are resources for counseling and for mental health issues. and even just for support. So if you'd like those, you can go over to the tents or come down and see one of the staff or myself. But thank you guys for being here. Go in peace.